I have completed a 10-day silent Vipassana meditation retreat twice, and here are the 10 lessons that I learned. Number one is that your emotions and your thoughts will often lie to you. The first time that I did the 10-day silent meditation retreat, after about 8 days, I remember having consistent thoughts of, you know what, you've had enough, you've gotten the benefit so far, you don't need to continue through. This is completely pointless. This is a waste of time. And I was consistently having these thoughts come up to the point where I actually left the retreat the first time around after about 8 days. And the moment that I left, I realized, holy crap, my thoughts and my emotions were trying to keep me stuck at the comfort level that I was always accustomed to, the identity that I was always accustomed to. Lesson number two is that your emotions are oftentimes stuck physical sensations. I remember sitting there for hours on end, just meditating. And oftentimes I would start to have all of these different sensations coming up in my body. The whole point of a Vipassana meditation is to basically scan the body and see what's happening and just observe it, not judge it, allow it to kind of be there and allow it to pass over time. And I remember just sitting there and feeling a ton of stuck energy, physical energy stuck in my chest. It was just always tight. I kept trying to move around. I kept trying to get rid of it. And I realized that the same things that I feel when I feel, for example, frustrated or angry is the same physical sensations that kept popping up during that Vipassana meditation. And I realized, holy crap, this physical sensation that I'm feeling is because I always feel frustrated. I always feel angry. I'm always overthinking. And it's the exact same feeling I get when I'm having those emotions. Number three is that we are all addicted to our phones. We are all addicted to checking our phones because it provides us with this low vibrational pleasure, just this quick dopamine hit. I remember the first few days that the first time that I did it, I was constantly checking my pockets. Now, if you do a silent Vipassana meditation retreat, they'll take everything away from you, your wallet, your phone, all this stuff at the beginning, and they give it once you've completed or left the retreat. And so I remember the first few days, I was constantly checking my pockets. I was trying to grab my phone, even though there was actually no reason to grab my phone, even though there was no actual benefit to grabbing my phone. I kept checking because I was trying to get that low dopamine pleasure because I wasn't getting it throughout the retreat. Which goes into number four, which is we are all addicted to talking as a form of stimulus. We are all addicted to expressing our ideas, our opinions, just talking for the sake of talking, just because it provides us pleasure. And the reason why I say this is because I remember on day zero of the retreat, where for the first few hours you can actually talk and get introduced to everybody else, the program. And I remember I really wanted to talk just because I couldn't talk anymore, right? I knew that it was going to be a scarce resource. But what was there to actually talk about? What was there of importance for me to express and keep talking? And I realized that in today's society, most people want to talk and express, but few actually want to listen. Few actually want to go inwards and see how they can listen to themselves or other people. And as Stephen Covey famously put, seek first to understand rather than to be understood. Number five is that we are addicted to feeling good within our bodies. And I realized this after about the seventh day, eighth day of the second time I did the retreat and actually completed it. I remember sitting there with my eyes closed and just feeling nothing but back pain. It was just intense, intense back pain. And I just kept thinking, I wish this would go away. I was resisting it. I was pushing it away. I was rejecting it and constantly judging the physical sensation that I was having. And I realized that I was always trying to push negative or quote unquote labeled in my head as negative physical sensations away. And I was always trying to chase the positive ones. When I was sitting down and I would feel a positive sensation in my body, I wanted more and more and more. And what I realized is the more that I wanted the positive physical sensations, the faster it would leave. And the more that I would reject the quote unquote negative physical sensations, the more that it would stay. And this is when I learned that whatever you resist will persist. Even in life, if you resist a certain thought, if you resist a certain emotion, if you resist a certain physical feeling, if you resist whatever is happening to you and around you, it is going to continue because your focus is on it. Number 6 is that negative and positive is simply a perspective. It's a label that we attach to certain things based off of what we think is optimal. And your ego is going to consistently try to label things as negative and positive. And when you label it as negative, again, you resist it. When you label it as positive, you want to hold on to it. If we can get rid of all of these labels, if we can stop labeling things as negative and positive, we can truly see the experience for what it is. Number 7, if we can learn to actually sit with our bodily sensations, whatever they may be, it will pass. And this is the law of impermanence, which basically states the only thing that is permanent in this universe is that everything is impermanent. And so if you can actually sit there with whatever you feel, however you think over time and genuinely accept it, genuinely allow it to be there, it will pass. Number 8 is we must learn how to clear our thinking mind before we can clear our emotional mind. The first 2 days of the Vipassana retreat is based around the idea and meditation of Anapana, which basically means that you focus on the breath going in and the breath coming out. And the whole point of this is to basically get your unconscious and subconscious thoughts to start to bubble up so that you can stop resisting them, so that you can actually overcome this constant chattering monkey in the mind, this overthinking, over analytical mind by being present to the moment. Once you're more present after the 2 days, then you go into the Vipassana stage. And the Vipassana stage is all about feeling the physical sensations and emotions that are within our bodies so that we can start to remove the blockages without having thoughts pop up on a regular basis. Number 9 is whatever is good for you is oftentimes uncomfortable. You know, most people in today's day and age, they are chasing highs, whether it's low vibrational phone notifications, food, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever they can do to just feel good. What we must do instead is do what is good for us rather than what feels good in the moment. Whereas most people are doing what feels good, even if it's not good for them. And so this allows you to actually overcome this constant need and chasing and feeling that it's never enough. You know, when I was doing the Vipassana retreat, at the beginning, sitting down for an hour 3 times a day, mandatory sessions plus more, was a complete pain in the ass. I absolutely despised it and hated it. I hated how it felt. I hated how it made me feel within my body and the pains that I would have. But over time, as I continued to practice, I realized that this was my own mind trying to perceive things in its own way and make sure that things weren't good enough and always chasing bodily highs. And I realized that after a few days, 8 days, 9 days, by the time I got to the 10th, 11th day of the second Vipassana retreat, I didn't want to stop meditating. It felt extremely good to do it. And I had actually overcame the constant nagging and feeling bad within my body and so on and so forth. And so I realized what is good for you does not always feel good. And we must make sure we do what is good for us instead of what feels good. And last but not least, the last lesson that I learned is thought and emotional control needs to be a daily practice. You know, the first time I came from the first Vipassana retreat, which I ended up stopping it after about 8 days, I was pretty consistent with the practice of Anapana and Vipassana for a few days, but then I completely let go. I stopped meditating. I stopped taking care of my brain. I stopped taking care of my body. I stopped going to the gym, all of these things. And I realized that all of the benefits that I had gotten from the Vipassana retreat completely went away. That level of being centered, being grounded, all of that stuff went out the window. And I started to notice myself being reactive, chasing things, pushing things away, wanting those bodily highs and sensations. And so this was very clear to me that daily practice, daily control of thoughts and emotions, whether it's through meditation, breath work, taking care of ourselves, self-care, needs to be done on a daily basis as a non-negotiable. Otherwise, over time, you lose all the momentum. Similar to working out, if you work out consistently, you'll start to see results. You'll start to see your muscles pop out. You'll start to lose weight. You'll start to feel good. But if you stop and you stop for a long period of time, all of those gains will be lost. Similar to mentally when it comes to meditation, when it comes to taking care of your own thought and emotional control. So hopefully these 10 lessons were helpful. If you like this, make sure to comment down below if you have any questions. Give this a thumbs up because it helps the channel, and subscribe for more videos like this. And we will talk soon. Take care.